Hey guys, welcome to today's class. Have fun.
Good afternoon, students. My name is Millennial Brown. I am an English teacher. Today, I will be helping you get ready for the upcoming general WAEC examinations. We're praying that the coronavirus goes away. And when it eventually does, things are going to go back to normal and we have to be ready for the exams. So, get a pen and a paper or a pencil and try to follow along during this class. I'm going to try to make it as fun and exciting as possible. So, you get ready. One of the aspects of English you'll be tested on during your exam is comprehension. That's the first part of it. That's part one of your exams. Comprehension. Your ability to read and understand what you have read. Your ability to give feedback. That what I mean by feedback is to answer questions based on what you have read or what you have heard. So, um, So reading and comprehension is a very, very important skill that students around the world are expected to have. There's some tips and some skills that you need to have to be able to properly answer questions on comprehension. It may seem very easy, it may look very easy. Oh, it's just reading and comprehension. I can answer the questions in 2 seconds. Yeah, it's easy for some people, but for some others, we need to practice. We need to grow our concentration to be able to answer the questions correctly. Because I used to think that reading and comprehension wasn't such a big deal to students until I met a child who explained to me that he wasn't doing so well because he always didn't get good grades in his reading and comprehension. And he was asking me, Miss Brown, what can I do to get better? How can I make sure that I'm getting all the scores I can possibly get from reading and comprehension? Today, we're going to discuss some tips to help you ensure that all the answers to questions you give are correct. Now, why is it important that we study these skills? Imagine that you lacked understanding of words. Maybe you don't know the meaning of some words, and somebody is saying the words to you in sentences, or somebody is talking to you. Would you be able to give a proper response? No. You need to grow in your understanding, you need to grow in your comprehension so that you'll be a fantastic and articulate young lady or young man. Because communication is very important. You need to be able to communicate properly to make progress in life. So it's very important that we learn these tips to help us get ready, not just for the exam, but for life in general. Okay. um the first skill you need to have, the first thing you need to do is skim. Is spelled Skim. Skim. What does it mean to skim? When you skim, you take a look at the comprehension that has been given to you and you get a general idea of what has been given to you. For example, if you're given a comprehension passage about helicopters and you skim that text that is talking about helicopters, you must notice a few words, maybe helicopters, maybe the military, things like that. Those keywords are what you're skimming for. Once you're able to skim and identify keywords, your mind automatically starts to think about the possible angle that the writer could choose. So the first thing you do is skim. In simple English, it is taking a brief look at what you are about to read. Some of you love to read novels, I'm very sure. And when you go to buy novels, what do you do? Do you just buy a novel? Some people flip the novel and they try to read what is written behind. Some people open the book and they just flip through the pages. That's called skimming, because they want to get an idea what the novel is about. They want to know, oh, am I going to waste my time reading this? Is this a good book, or is this an uninteresting or not a book that's not well written? So when you skim, you are having a quick read that will help you to identify the theme of the text. The theme of the text. The theme is the topic or the subject or what the text is talking about. When you skim, you'll be able to tell about the theme of the text. So don't just go straight to the questions when you see the comprehension passages. Don't just go straight to the questions and start reading the questions before you come to the passage. It is important that you skim. It keeps your mind ready, gets your mind ready for the actual work of reading and answering questions. Sometimes when we go to the question and say question 1, we read question 1 and then we go to the passage, we may just pick an answer that is not complete because we really haven't studied the passage. You don't know if in paragraph 2 the person is going to say, oh, paragraph 1 was all a lie. You want to be sure that you have studied the text as much as possible. So the first thing you do is skim. A quick read, as if you're flipping through a novel. A quick read to give yourself an idea of what the text is talking about. The second strategy you need to learn is scanning. Scanning. When you scan, you read, right? You don't just read, but this time you have your pen in hand. I don't have my pen in hand, but you have your pen in hand, ready to underline ideas in the passage or the paragraphs that stand out to you. The reason you do this is so that when you go to the question later on, you would have an idea of the answers, and then it will be easy for you to find them. This helps you save time. So when you scan, you have a pen or a pencil and you're picking the main points from each passage. Remember that each paragraph in an essay, each paragraph in a passage has a topic sentence or the sentence that carries the main point. That is what you are looking for. I'm not saying that the other sentences in the paragraph are not important. Every sentence works together to create a beautiful and complete paragraph, but you must be able to identify the main point, the sentence with the main point in each passage. Let's look at an example. If you're reading a paragraph that goes like this: the teacher loves Ada. This is because Ada is a hardworking girl, and Ada is known to be respectful to teachers, to her friends, and to everybody in general. Ada knows that the teacher loves her, and Ada has vowed to always be a good girl. Remember that the sentences in the paragraph are supporting the first sentence, that the teacher loves Ada. Why does the teacher love Ada? That is now what the rest of the paragraph is explaining. But the main point in that paragraph is that the teacher loves Ada. I don't know if anybody watching this is named Ada. I love you. So understanding and identifying the key sentence is very, very important. When you are scanning, that is what you're doing. You want to get the main point. You want to circle, Some people even make notes while they do this because it helps them work faster when they get to the question. You have to understand the question before you attempt to answer. You have to understand the question before you attempt to answer. Some questions are tricky, right? Some people would ask questions which do not really have direct answers in the book. I put down a passage I want us to go through. Listen to this. Ola was a young man with high hopes for the future. He wanted to become a doctor because he loved helping people. Ola's father was not interested in education and would often order Ola to go to the farm on school days. Ola obeyed his father even though he was not happy. His teacher was upset when Ola did poorly at the end of the term. Now, this paragraph I've read does not say that Ola's father is wicked. It does not say that it is because of Ola's father that Ola did not do so well at the end of the term. It did not directly say that to you. But a question like this could arise. The examiner may ask you, according to the passage, why did Ola do poorly at the end of the term? The paragraph, the passage did not say Ola did poorly at the end of the term because his father asked him to go to the farm. I'm trying to let you understand that some answers do not come directly. You need to think about it and phrase them in your own words. That is why it is called comprehension. They want to see if you understand. It's not just about reading the word, it's about understanding, having knowledge. A child who doesn't go to school will obviously fail, right? So if Ola is going to the farm because his father said so, that's why he did poorly. So in other words, Ola's father and the fact and his Ola's father had a hand in Ola's poor results at the end of the term. It's never so straightforward. You have to think. That is why you cannot go to the question first. That is why you must read the passage at least twice before you attempt to answer questions. Because when you do that, even for the best of us, it takes time sometimes to understand what the question is and try to get the answer. So you need to go at least twice. You need to skim and you need to scan. And you also need to understand that the questions may not be straight to the point. They may ask you tricky questions. You have to be wise in the answers that you give. Most errors we make are because we don't go back to the answers that we have provided after providing the answer. Your teacher will always tell you, after exams, after you write, go through your work. Go through your work. Go through your work. Some children don't do that. Some students don't. I'm done. And they want to submit and run outside to go and play or run outside to go get ready for the next exam. That's not how English exams work. That's not how exams work in general. You have to go through your work to ensure that you have written something good. You make errors. Do you know that your brain works faster than your hands? So your brain could be thinking the right thing, but your hand is not catching up. So you must make sure that you go through your work over and over and over again. But don't dwell on answering one question for too long, because then you could lose time and miss out on answering or attempting to answer the other questions. So while you are trying to ensure that your answers are correct, while you are trying to ensure that you have understood the passage, keep your time in mind. Keep your time in mind. I always advise my students, when you get into the English examination, do not start to celebrate and say, oh, my victory is here. You have to be strategic. You have to plan. Divide the questions into separate times and make sure that you work with that. That means you need to have a wristwatch so that you don't run out of time, because the examiner is not going to wait for you and say, oh, I love Ada, so Ada can have a few extra minutes. No. As much as you're trying to be efficient, you have to also be conscious of your time. Okay? Alright, so some questions do not come directly, like I've said. We also have one more strategy you must have is to expand your vocabulary. You must expand your vocabulary. Pull it, expand it. How do you expand your vocabulary? And what is your vocabulary? Your vocabulary is the group or the amount of words a person knows and uses. Some people know very few words. I want to pee, I want to pee, I want to pee all their lives. Some people don't know that you could also say, I like to use convenience, or may I use the restroom? Things like that. We need to make sure that our vocabulary is wide. And how do you make your vocabulary wide? Can you tell me? You can expand your vocabulary by listening to others speak. You can expand your vocabulary by reading books. Some of us love to read. But when we read, we don't try to find out the actual meanings of words that we have read. We just get a general understanding of the word and we just move on. But it is important that, especially in your formative years, which are your secondary school years, you actively try to expand your vocabulary, because by the time you're in senior secondary, by the time you're in the university, you'll be expected to have some conversations. And if you do not have a very wide vocabulary, or at least a substantial vocabulary, you'll be looked upon as a person who may not have been properly educated. So you need to expand your vocabulary. Your vocabulary will help you to understand the questions. If your vocabulary will help you to understand the part that is based on synonyms and antonyms. You know those parts where they say replace the underlined words with a synonym, or replace the underlined word with an antonym. How do you go about it if you don't have a wide vocabulary? How do you go about it if you don't know that the synonym for good can be beneficial, can be great, can be fantastic? You need to expand your vocabulary, and you need to try actively to use the words that you learn, the new words that you learn. I know a student who, before the pandemic, suddenly started to use words that were not in his, the words were not words that people had come to know him to use. So everybody say, oh, Maxwell is using big grammar. Not as though those words were really big, but it was good that he was making an effort because he wanted to improve himself. Over time, people got used to it and started to appreciate him for it because he got better at it. So practice will help you get better. So make sure that you expand your vocabulary. Listen to the news. Listen to TV programs. I'm not saying spend all your time watching TV. No, listen to TV programs, read books, even music can help you expand your vocabulary. Some of you listen to music and you don't know the meaning of some of the words. You can try and find out what those words mean. So, because if you are able to expand your vocabulary to be worthwhile and very beneficial to you moving forward. So one more thing I'm going to say is that when you answer those questions on synonyms and antonyms, before I move forward, I must tell you the difference. Synonyms are words that are similar in meaning, for example, good and beneficial, while antonyms are words that are opposite in meaning, for example, good and bad. Whenever you hear anti, it means against or opposite. Whenever you hear synonymous, it means close to each other, related, or the same. So we have to ensure that our vocabulary is top notch. I promise you that when your vocabulary is very wide, you would enjoy talking to people. People want to listen to you and they would appreciate you, and I'm very certain that the junior WAEC examination will be a blast. So, in today's class, we have discussed some tips and tricks for answering the comprehension question. That's the first section that you're going to answer. In our next class, we're going to discuss the lexis and structure because it is a little tricky for some students, and that's where the study of vocabulary comes in. So I look forward to having the next class with you. I hope that you enjoyed my class. If you were able to make notes, good and fine. If you weren't, please listen again. Remember that the exams are very, very important. You should be ready. Before I leave, I'm going to summarize what we said today. First, when you're answering your comprehension passages, you have to skim, which means reading quickly, going through the work to get the theme of the work. You have to scan. To scan is to read and to highlight the main points. You have to ensure you have to be aware of tricky questions which do not have direct answers in the passages. You also have to expand your vocabulary to answer correctly, and you need to be aware of synonyms and antonyms. This will help you greatly. In the next class, I hope we'll have some more fun. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
I hope the class was interesting. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section or send us an email. We will love to help you further. See you in the next class.